Hey, y'all, I'm Shane Sams. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast today. I love spending time with you, being in your earbuds, being in the car, being on the treadmill, wherever you are, man. I really do. I appreciate you spending time with me and my guest today. And I've got a good one on the show. My guest today is the author of legendary Tommy Breedlove. Man, I heard about Tommy through a mutual friend, Dan Miller. I was hanging out with Dan one night. And he said, man, have you heard of Tommy Breedlove? And I said, no. He goes, man, you guys would kick it off so good. You guys would get along so well, man. And he's wrote this incredible book. And you've got to check this out. So he hands me the book. I get on an airplane heading back home from Florida, back to Kentucky, read this book, and I'm like, man, I've got to spend some time with this guy. So I'm going to introduce you today to Tommy Breedlove, man. We're going to tell you Tommy's story of how he grew up in the south side of Atlanta in one of the hardest circumstances you could imagine, and he ends up overcoming those odds after going to jail and ends up becoming on the board of one of the biggest financial firms in the country. But he found out when he got to the top of the mountain, it wasn't everything it was cracked up to be. He didn't have any significance. He wasn't making anything happen in his life that he felt productive with. Sure, he was making all the money, but the money wasn't bringing him any joy. So Tommy made an amazing decision to leave that incredible position, leave millions of dollars on the table to pursue a path of healing, to pursue a path of fighting his demons, to pursue a path of personal development that changed his life, changed his marriage, changed his future, and now through his book has changed so many other lives as well. I enjoyed this so much, guys. You're going to get a lot of Southern accent in this one, man. Tommy's from Georgia. I'm from Kentucky. And we just found out all these amazing things that we had in common, man. And we just had a blast. This is one of the funnest conversations that I've ever had on the Shane Sams Show. And I'm so excited. I know this is going to bless you. I know this is going to help you grow. And I know this is going to help you pursue your passion, help you pursue those things in your life so that you can make your life legendary as well. So wherever you're listening in, maybe you're sipping on a cup of coffee, maybe you got a mason jar of sweet tea. Wherever you are, man, grab a pencil, grab a pen, grab a notebook, take some notes because you're going to learn a lot from today's show. Kick back, relax, and enjoy my interview with Tommy Breedlove. 3, 2, 1. Tommy Breedlove, man, what's happening?
What's happening, my brother? This has been a fun 5 minutes already. I can't see what we rocked down today, man.
This is gonna be a good one. We were just talking off air here about how crazy it was. We're rebooting computers, and we got in-laws running around, and uncles and cousins,
dogs.
And, what dogs? I just put my dogs inside, and I was talking to. One time I was doing a member Q&A with my community, and so we have just God knows how many people are in the chat, and everybody starts going LOL. Ha ha. Everybody just starts putting smiley face emojis. And me and Jocelyn are like, what are y'all talking about? What is going on? And they're like, and people start putting look behind you. And my daughter, who at the time, I don't know how old she was, maybe 5 or 6, she was behind us and she was sitting in the floor and she had went to the refrigerator and got an entire rotisserie chicken out. And she had been behind us smashing chicken. For like 10, 15 minutes, she was just covered in meat and grit.
I love it.
Oh, it was unbelievable. That's why we do what we do, man. You know what I mean? That's why we do what we do.
That's after my own heart. We're prone to go out and slam some chicken ourselves. So that's right,
man. That's right, dude. All right, well, enough about my daughter and chicken. This is about Tommy Breedlove, man. All right, so here's how you got on my radar, man. I was in Florida a couple weeks ago, and we have a mutual friend named Dan Miller who's been on this podcast. Great human being, one of the best men I've ever met. And Dan said, hey, you're gonna be in Florida, why don't you come over and eat dinner over at my house? And I said, cool, man. So we went over there. We went and ate dinner at the restaurant that's there on that where they live. And then we went back to his house, and he goes, have you read this book? And he pulls your book off the shelf, right? And I'm like, no, I've not read this, man. He goes, oh my gosh, you got to read Tommy Breedlove, man. You got to read Legendary. And he shoves the book in my hand. And I'm like, Dan, I'll pick me up a copy. He goes, take mine. And like, they just gave me a copy of your book, dude. And I got to read through it on the way back, man. I was so inspired, and that was amazing. So real quick, man, give me just a nutshell, man. Who is Tommy Breedlove? Where are you from? How did you get to kind of where you are today? We'll just riff, man, and bounce off of it.
So, brother, who am I? That's always a loaded question, man.
That's right.
I'm a guy that's trying to figure it out. The more I learn, the more I realize, the more I don't know, brother. And
Amen.
So to have a guy like Dan Miller and to be able to do this podcast with you, man, I'm just super grateful to be here. And I'm a grower, a learner, a seeker, a healer, but I'm also working on healing myself. So, man, that's what I'm all about. Real quick background, brother. Grew up, good, humble beginnings. Tough beginnings, south side of Atlanta, good blue collar, hardworking part. Unfortunately, I grew up in and around some abuse and violence, especially in and around the home. And I was scheduled to be the first person to go to college in my family, had a bunch of scholarships and rides to universities, and unfortunately became what I hated, became that violence and rage. And at 18, committed a violent crime, brother. And I was looking at 7 years in prison and 2 felonies. That is not was on the plan. And luckily, from the grace of God and the fact it was my first adult offense because I was 18, they dropped it to misdemeanors, but I was sentenced to 2 years and spent my 19th birthday incarcerated, as opposed to the great University of Georgia. Go Dogs, by the way. And unfortunately,
go Big Blue now. I'm not going to let you get away with that, son. We got a football game here in a few weeks we're going to have to talk about, man.
I saw the Kentucky on the flip lifestyle right behind you, brother. I saw it. But good news is 45. I was 18 years old in South Atlanta. You know, one of these things didn't look like the others, but a good thing is a 45-year-old African-American gentleman decided to cross racial boundaries, mentor me, hold me accountable. He called me young blood. So young blood, you're not going to become a revolving, you're not going to become part of the system where you never get out like me.
And that was in jail? That was in jail?
In jail, yeah. In South Atlanta jail. Name was Tony, and he called me young blood. Man, it was one of the best because I didn't have much male mentorship growing up. I didn't have much a man to follow. I had strong women in my life, but not so much strong men. And so it was really a beautiful thing that he did for me. And with his help, I dusted myself off, went to work in a nuclear waste container factory during the day, community college at night, did end up back at the University of Georgia. And I literally went from a jail cell to a company called Deloitte in 3 years. And that, if people don't know what that is a big, big, big financial consulting and public accounting firm. I think it might be the biggest in the world now. So let's fast forward, dude. So 15 years later, you know, I thought that money, power, success, all the shiny things, the cufflinks, the tailored suit, the car, the corner office was going to make me happy. Come from humble beginnings, wanted the American dream, worked my butt off to get the American dream. And if you looked on the outside, you said, man, that guy's got it going on. He's going somewhere. He's got, I got the tie, I got the title, you name it, man. Yeah. But I never had dealt with any of those demons, those insecurities, those fears, that rage, that anger. And I was loaded in it, man. And instead of using my fists like I did as a child, now I'm using my wit, my charisma, and I'm competitive. And I was really just this insecure little boy wanting to be seen, heard, loved. And it came out with arrogance. It came out with never ask for help, tough guy, important guy, life of the party guy, and just trying to be someone else that I wasn't. And when the money and power, brother, didn't fill me up, I turned to all the darkness. Think of Wolf of Wall Street type lifestyle. I mean, I lived it for literally 3 or 4 years. Yeah. And woke up in a ditch one day looking at the blue sky in downtown Atlanta, man. 3 days. I didn't really even know where I was, didn't know where my car was. I'm half dressed, thought I was dead, looking at the blue sky. And I was like, man, I don't know who this is or where I'm going. And I don't know if it was that little boy. I don't know if it was God. I don't know if it was all that, but I was like, no more. And that's the moment I decided to change my life. And I'll finish this out. I started investing in my inner game, my mental, emotional, spiritual game, with mentors, with coaches, with therapists, surrounding myself with positive people, reading everything I can get my hands on, drinking from a fire hose. And in 3 years, I never planned on leaving that world, that financial consulting world. In 3 years, my money doubled, my network 10x'd, my marriage went from life support to literally rock solid. I went from junior partner, senior partner, board of director, and then an owner of the firm. That's all fun, but I found joy. I found peace. I found Tommy. I found just being okay with being me, just okay with being enough, just okay. Don't try to be something I'm not. Just show up every day, serve, lead, and be yourself. And my whole life transformed in 3 years. I mean, I went to the top of the firm, man. I was on the board at 39. Most of those guys were in their guys and one gal, 2 gals were in their 60s. And so with the exception of one other. And then here's when my whole life changed, brother. And this is how I met Dan. And now I'm talking to you. is my network, entrepreneurs, corporate executives, bankers, lawyers, accountants, men and women from 22 to 75, man, started saying, hey, let's go grab a beer. Hey, let's go for a walk. Hey, you got time today? And I thought we were just doing our networking thing, right? Like, how can we do some business together? And it wasn't that at all. They're like, hey, man, I've seen this massive transition in you over the last 3 years. You seem happy. You seem content. You just, things have changed. You've changed. Your presence has changed. What drug are you taking? And I'm like, no, it's no drug, brother.
What is it? Is it the blue pill or the red pill, Tommy Breedlove?
Right.
What is it? You know?
Which one? Are we going into the matrix or out? And I'm like, no, brother. And I started telling him my story. And what I gave him was the gift of going second. I just told him everything that I'd gone through and what it looked like before and what it looked like then. It wasn't an opinion that I was giving. It was just wisdom of, hey, this is what it looked like and this is why. This is what mistakes I've made. This is what I've done since. And this is what my life looks like since. And with the support of my wife, my network, some great coaches, some great friends, I decided to resign my board seat, sell my equity in that big firm, and go chase this dream of, and now we're running executive retreats. We're running conferences. We're doing one-on-one coaching. We're speaking around the world, and we've written a Wall Street Journal and USA Today best-selling book in 8 years. But man, at first it took a lot of courage, man. I thought, man, I'm walking away from 65% of our household income.
I can't even imagine, man. I've got a comment on that, but you just said something I've never heard anybody say out loud is the gift of going second. Man, I hope everybody listening to this podcast realizes what he's talking about. Like that gift of going second where I don't have to trip in the pothole. I don't have to fall on my face. You get to tell me about when you tripped on the pothole or you fell on your face, and I get to learn from that and that power of wisdom passing from one human being to the other. That's a powerful phrase, man. The gift. I'll give you credit for that one twice, then I'm gonna steal it forever. Okay.
Oh, take it. I don't know where I got it from, but right. Thank you to whoever it was.
Yeah, man. What's I gonna say? Oh yeah, and like it also too, like going in and resigning from something like that. Like I used to be a school teacher, and we started this online business, and we ended up resigning from our job in the middle of a school year, which nobody does in Southeast Kentucky. I mean, it's one of the best jobs you can get in a rural county out in the hills, man. But like, it was funny. When I walked in, I slid my resignation over. It was like 6 a.m. I tried to get the principal before anybody was showing to school. And I was a football coach too. So the first words were, are you going to finish out the season? that was the first words out of his mouth.
We have our priorities down.
I'm like, bro. And I was like, of course I am. What kind, do you think I'm a sinner? I'm a football coach. I'm staying with the kids till the end, son. But like I said, no, I'm a coach, man. I'm just not going to teach anymore. And he was just floored. He was just shocked. And he was like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I've started a business. And he's like, oh. And he goes, how long have you been teaching? I'm like, I've been teaching almost 10 years, man. And he goes, God, you're going to give up all that retirement? And I'm like, brother, there's 17 years left. I'm out. Yes, I'm not going to sit here the rest of the time. But this is a school team. I can't imagine you walking into the boardroom and like these people are looking at you like this is what everyone else dreams of or thinks they're dreaming of. Like, what did they say when you resigned?
I'm going to be very blunt, and this is the way I remember it. And I think I have emails to prove it. So I went into a fellow board member's office, and he was the guy that kind of got me all the way there, from junior partner to senior partner to international. And I walked in, and I had, let me tell you what had happened. It was Valentine's Day. Let me back up like 1 minute. It was Valentine's Day, and I just worked with my coach. And if you don't have a world-class coach or mentor, get one, because they are
true story.
I mean, and so I just worked with. I call her. Her name is Nancy Vito. I call her Saint Nancy. And we had just had this unbelievable session. And I'm in my little Jeep. It's a beautiful day in Atlanta. I'm driving. I call my wife. I forgot it was Valentine's Day. I'm like, baby, I'm going to quit today. She's like, what? And I'm like, no, I'm going to quit today.
We can't afford Valentine's dinner. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's no dinner tonight. We're going to have to go ramen. But, I'm taking away most of the income. But when I walked in, he thought he laughed. I mean, he absolutely laughed. And because I was the youngest partner they had, and one of their best business developers. And one of my gifts, I mean, there were so many more smart people in that world than I was. I could make their intelligence easy to understand. And I think that's what helped me sell. But he was like, you're the youngest part. He threw the first thing he said, if you want the truth, is he says, you're an idiot. He goes, your financial future is set. And if I told you the amount of money, like over 30 years that I walked away from, you'd probably throw something through the screen. But it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about that. It was about no regrets, happiness, chasing a calling. And here's the truth. And this is when they finally got it. I was like, I haven't wanted to be here for a year. I've stayed here for money. I can't recruit it anymore. I don't want to sell it anymore. And I don't want to support it anymore. And I'm an owner of this firm. I'm going to become a cancer. You don't want me here. You think you want me here because of my past, but my present says I don't want to be here anymore, regardless of the money. I know it's all they know. And they kept saying, well, you're married to the firm. No, I'm married to a woman named Heather. You're my business partners. And they finally got it. And then they became very supportive. Now, they didn't just let me quit. It took months and months to transition and sell, like, blah, 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 blah. But literally, that one guy called me all weekend and said, man, I'm just in my heart, I think you're making the biggest mistake you've ever made in your life, blah, blah, blah. And honestly, deep down inside, I had a lot of insecurity, I had a lot of fears. Truth be told, I canceled cable. I sold my wife's car without telling her. She was really happy with that. I'm like, baby, we can't afford an Audi. We got to go down. And she's like, I have a job.
This is turning into the worst Valentine's Day year ever. Just like, hey, it's Valentine's Day. I'm quitting my job next week. You can't watch TV. By the way, I got you a bicycle. Happy Valentine's Day. So like, what is going on?
And finally, she goes, I have a job, right? We can afford my car and cable. So you need to stop. Because I was getting into that. Let's protect and defend this fort.
Well, you went into this like overabundance mode to fear and scarcity mode, like almost overnight, and you just didn't know how to react to it.
That's right. That's right. Now, looking back, I guess it's been 9 years now, 8 years, best decision I've ever made, from happiness, fulfillment to joy to serving. Yeah. And honestly, I'm a money is important guy. I love the T. Harv Eker saying, if some gal or guy says money's not important, run from them. They're broke.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we do want to serve. We do want to make an impact. And I realized when we saw how much these programs and what I went through and all the stuff that we created help people find that courage, help people find that confidence, help people to lead themselves and lead at home better so they can lead their businesses better, so they can respect and love themselves better. Because that's stuff we don't talk about. Yeah. We all have this voice inside of our heads that says we're not good enough, or what if they find out I don't know what I'm doing? We all have insecurities. I don't care if you're the CEO of Microsoft or you're just getting started or struggling. We all have it. And we talked about that gift of going second and letting people know that they're not alone. Yeah. Letting people, no matter where you are in life, that the answer is both in the mirror. That's your problem and your solution. Personal accountability. Let's lean in with courage and get better. And this is a calling, man. And so to walk away from all of the quote money to go chase a dream, at least now, no matter what happens, I will not look back with any regrets, man.
Yeah, man. And when we started helping other people start online businesses and helping families, we call it flip their lives, like change their family's future, start putting their family first, start putting their time first. There's one of my mentors told me one time, he said, money makes the mission possible.
It does.
So it's not that money is the most important thing, but that is how this world works. It is a reality. And if you say money's not important, you're just giving up the toolbox that lets you pursue your passion and change and go on your mission. So that's that. When I heard that, it put everything that we were doing from that point on in context, like why we charge, how much we charge, like making people pay so that they'll pay attention, right? Like we tried to help so many people for free and it just didn't work. It just did not work. Like I can tell you from experience, like everyone we have ever quote unquote helped for free has never made it to the other side of the prosperity of what we do over at Flip Lifestyle. You know what I mean? And
Shane,
like,
it's so right,
important
dude.
about that,
So right, man. People value what they pay for.
Yep.
And if you're a spiritual person, I didn't say a religious person. If you're a spiritual, whether you believe in energy, God, the universe, whatever you call it, everything in this world is energy. Money is energy. We're energy. Our cells are energy. Life is, everything is energy. And when you say, which our words and our thoughts and our, be careful of your words and thoughts, they become your prayers. When you say money's not important, that bigger energy flow hears that. Yeah. And guess what you're going to lack? I know that sounds a little out there, but it's true, man. It's totally true. I've experienced it in my life.
Yeah, I always tell our people, greatness flows through your lips and fingertips, but so does mediocrity. If you're in your brain and you're saying those things, and you say it out loud, you're going to believe it. You're going to believe what you say over what everybody else says.
That's right.
And people can get woo woo whatever they want, but it's true. I mean, it's like
true.
If you say it out loud, especially if you say it to other people, because then you have created a commitment to that person to believe that in their life, and that's bad. Like if you say money's not important, man, you've told somebody else money's not important. The second you make some money, you're going to feel guilt and shame.
That's right.
You got to be real careful with those words, dude. You know,
that's absolutely right. And I have to, people are like, well, that sounds a little out there for me. I was like, here's the example. I'm going to give you an analogy. You've got people in your life when they walk in the room, it could be an aunt, uncle, grandmother, grandfather, it could be a spouse, could be a child. When they walk in the room, the whole room levitates. They don't have to say a word. You can feel them. You feel better. You want to be around them. You're drawn to them. And the moment they speak, you're like, it feels like love and happiness. That's it. And then we've got these people that walk in our lives who, man, they just suck the soul right out of us. They don't have to say a word, man, especially in business and other folks. And you're like, my God, what is that? Mm-hmm. Same thing. It's an energy flow, man. Same thing with money. Money is just energy, and it flows where, and by the way, it's a magnifying glass. If you're a really terrible person, it will magnify that terribleness. If you want to make impact and significance, it will magnify that. So enough of that, brother. So I'm off my soapbox.
This is the Shane Sams show, baby. I keep soapboxes in every room in the house just in case we need to get on one, dude. This is my podcast. I'll do whatever we want, Tommy Breedlove.
I wish I was in Kentucky, man. I really do.
We'll figure it out. Worst case scenario, we'll meet in Tennessee. They lose everything. We'll watch it. We'll go watch Kentucky and Georgia beat Tennessee to death, and everybody will be happy. If you're from Tennessee, I hope you lose every game. I'm sorry. I love you guys. But listen, let me go back to the demons, man. You said demons, healing, rage. That really hit me, man, because, about 3 years ago, my wife Jocelyn and I sold a business. And what we did not expect from that, it was kind of like Jocelyn's baby, right? And we've talked about this on our other show. Jocelyn basically mourned that loss like a child. I mean, yep. we found out the people that bought it, while they were super generous and how much we sold it for, and the cash deal and everything else, they just basically, as soon as we signed the dotted line, they turned into terrible people that were clearly just milking it dry. That sent us into like some kind of existential kind of crisis mode, man, for the first time in our marriage, first time in our life, led to some depression, we're sitting here thinking, man, we've got more money than we've ever had. We live in a place we never dreamed we'd ever live in. We're serving people all over the world, helping them do the same thing. And we're depressed and we're feeling terrible. And that actually made us start peeling the onion back, man. And we started looking, we're like, man, it wasn't the sale of the business. Wasn't anything going on in our life. We weren't tethered to any circumstances. We were tethered to our past and to our trauma and to our all the things that had ever happened to us up to that point that we had went unresolved and not dealt with. And when you said that, like, the demons and the healing, and even all the way back to being in that ditch, right? It's one thing to have that epiphany to say, I'm not going to end up here again. But for everybody listening out there, man, look, and we all suffer. Everybody suffers, man. All of us. Like, how did you start that journey of fighting the demons? How did you find mental, emotional, and spiritual like healing? Like after that, you already mentioned Saint Nancy here. You got some mentorship going on, but what other things did you do to beat those demons and heal?
Yeah, Nancy was later down the road. The truth is I was. And I think most people, and I'm just going to say this, when we see people acting out in grocery stores or flipping people off on the road, or I believe that we're born with compassion and empathy, and just our circumstances make us forget it sometimes. And our news really wants us to forget it, but we're born with it and we're inherent with it. And for me, it's about becoming aware and not hiding from it. And I was completely unconscious and unaware that I was rageful, that I was angry, that I was scared, that I felt alone, even in a big room. I was unaware. I thought I was being the life of the party, and I didn't know that I was doing it so people would see me and love me, but it wasn't me. You know what I'm saying? And so here's the truth. And I think this was a gift that was given to me, and I couldn't hear it for years. Clearly, my wife and I may or may not have been in marriage counseling during all of this. Who knows why, when you're a big financial partner and you're an ass, But we were in we were in marriage counseling. And I remember, true story. The first thing is all these counselors would say, Heather, why don't you stay home? And Tommy, why don't you come back? And at first I thought they were going to tell me that she was the problem. And then I realized yours truly, but what they saw in me was this man who couldn't feel, he couldn't open up. He just wasn't there and he didn't get it. But one of these guys gave me a gift and he said, Tommy, I'm going to give Tennessee some love. So we're going to give Tennessee some love that we just took away.
I love the people. I just hate their sports teams.
Amen,
that's all.
Brother.
It's all
and
good.
That awful orange. But he said, Tommy, there's a place in Nashville, Tennessee that can do more for you in 7 days than I could do in 10 years. When I woke up in that ditch, it was one of the first things I saw is I don't care what that is, where it is, what I got to do or what I got to pay for. Even if I got to put it on every credit card I have, because I didn't know what something like that cost, I will go do it. And it was the best 7 days of my life. And it basically what it let me know, it's called the Living Centered Program at On-Site Workshops. And it's in this beautiful mountains just outside of Nashville, Tennessee, about 45 minutes out of Nashville, Tennessee. And it's on-site workshops, and it changed my life. There was 30 plus people there, and they do it one-on-one, small groups, and in large groups. But there's everybody from the common Joe to literal rocks. I'm not kidding. There was a literal rock star there and a couple CEOs that people would know. And just a lot of average Joes like me and gals. What it did, they cut you open for 4 days in the most beautiful way to let you know you're not alone, whatever you suffered, whatever back story you're telling yourself that's probably not true, or stories that have been told to you, or things that have been done to you, or things that you've done. They let you know you're not alone. They cut you open. I started feeling for the first time in 37 years. I mean, I didn't feel at all. And honestly, brother, I had blocked out like the first 18 years of my life. Like they did not happen.
That's where the trauma happens and we don't even know it. You know what I mean?
It out, man.
That's where it happens.
And then they put you back together for 3 days. And then here's the answer to your question. They gave me a formula. Do X, Y, Z, A, B, C. And brother, I was done with being scared, alone, lacking courage, no confidence, and acting out just to be seen, heard, and loved. And so I'm not saying everybody that leaves there follows the program to the T like I did, but from getting a coach to getting a therapist to reading certain books to I eliminated everything in my life to figure out what the actual, A, so I could feel, B, so I could analyze, and start like even coffee. Like I don't know why I did that, but and then started adding it back in when I realized, hey, that wasn't the issue. The issue is how I felt about myself, because I just stopped everything, right? To just get clear, but I coaching, reading everything I had my hands on, going to therapy, but now going to therapy and dealing with it, right?
Yeah.
Dealing with my past.
It's not just going for help. It's actually letting someone help you. Because man, like we had a similar journey, dude. Like, Jocelyn and I just searched and searched. We actually did this amazing program. It's called Mind Fix. And there's this amazing, I need to have her on the podcast because she's one of our great friends. Her name's Erin File. Awesome. And she took us through this process. Jocelyn did it first, and then I got into it. And man, when we started doing it together, and we started like going back and peeling back the onions, and it was dealing with the fear, dealing with the trauma, and also that outside third party voice, man, of like you're just sitting in your head looking in the mirror every morning trying to figure it out by yourself. But when we let someone else hear what we were saying and they listened to us, and then they got to come back to us and say, are you sure that's a real belief? Are you sure that was not a false belief that was imprinted by something like a belief that you had of being afraid or being scared, or you needed to gain power or whatever in that situation, and it's tainted all of your decision making going forward? And we actually went out to a retreat in Colorado with them, and it was the same thing. It was just like you're looking straight in someone else's eyes for days, and you're like, you have no choice but to deal with this right now. And then then you integrate it on the other side of it. It was a game changer, man. Just letting other people in. I think that's where most people don't let anyone else in. Even the network, you see the life of the party, like you said, they don't let the person actually in because they're afraid if they see the real you that they're going to turn on you or leave you, and that's what's going to get you abandoned instead of that's what's going to get you support and help. You know what I mean?
That's right, brother. That's right. And here's the thing that I want everybody to hear is it doesn't have to be significant abuse. It doesn't have to be trauma. It doesn't have to be a major integrity breach. It could be a breakup. It could be something that somebody said to you on a playground. We all carry these fears and insecurities, some bigger, some you don't have to have some devastating story, but we all have got stories that we tell each other that's not true.
Yeah.
And I think you're right on all fronts, man. And one of the things that I think is super important, once you go on this journey of personal development, getting stronger in your heart, mind, soul, and your body, for me, your ecosystem and certainly your partner need to go on that journey with you. And the fact that you and your wife did it together, my wife saw such a transfer. I thought she would leave. When I got back, I thought she was gone. I mean, seriously, I literally thought I'd lost her. But when I got back, she was still there. And the first thing she did, she was like, I mean, she could just smell it on me. She's like, who is this man?
Yeah.
She went to the same place to learn why she was in a relationship like that. What things is she, because she came from a really unbelievable, loving household. You can do anything, baby. Go out and conquer the world. And she did. And I came from the exact opposite. And what we both learned is no matter where you come from, that codependent dance, or we tell ourselves stories that aren't true. And so what's great about all this, man, is eventually if we look in the mirror, we come aware and we'll let somebody in. No, you're not. See, all these people think they're alone in their stories, their fears, their mistakes, their insecurities. And all of us got them, man. All of us.
Yeah. And
the truth is, do we use it as an anchor to hold us down? Or do we use it as a base of gratitude to help lift us up? And so,
I love what you said there about, like your wife came from this household and you came from this household, but like, I came from an amazing family, man. My family's tribal. I mean, we love each other. I got 4 brothers. I got 3 older brothers and I got a younger brother. But like even things you don't realize why you believe or that you perceive as positive can cause these problems. Like I'm a loud alpha, whoa kind of guy. I was a football coach.
Never thought that,
you know what I'm saying? Right, man. I'm the guy, you can hear me over the crowd at a football game. You know what I mean? And but one of the things that I didn't realize that the thing that probably propelled me to success was hurting my marriage, was hurting my children as a parent, was hurting my relationships, was preventing me from going to the next level. And through the work of letting other people in, I just discovered, not through anything malicious or anything else, my oldest brother is 19 years older than me. And through that work, our facilitators, the counselor said, Shane, you, for some reason, have got this belief that the only way you can gain power is through overwhelming force of will. And that's fine in some situations. And that's a tool in your toolbox. I'm not telling you to let it go because that's necessary sometimes, but it's killing your marriage. Your kids are becoming, shell-shocked because you're bringing what you bring in the business world and in your personal networking and to your home, and you have got to stop that. And it wasn't because anybody did anything. It was just like, no wonder I grew up in a house with 5 dudes, and 2 of them were old enough to be my dad. Like, so it's like, my dad's got kids in every decade since the 50s, it feels like, right? And, so we got this big family. I got all, and like all of most of their kids are guys. So I grew up in this way where the only way to get a word in edgewise was to talk loud and to be forceful and to be the most aggressive and the most strongest and the most whatever in any situation to fight my way, kind of into the table. And man, when I realized that, dude, when I came back, same thing, dude. I came back. My brother, a couple weeks later, was like, dude, what is going on with you? He's like, you're not combative. You're not arguing politics. You're not like doing all these things. And I had this like great awakening with my children of like, they were just like, I just stopped and started. Have you ever read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius?
Oh yeah. But multiple times.
Yeah.
I read the Stoic every day, by the way.
Same thing, dude. Daily stuff. Yeah. Daily stuff. I've got my Meditations. I've read it with 4 different colored pens, and I got That's each awesome. One underlined, dude, and, but there's a thing in there that said, I started reading some of that stuff after I came back when I had this epiphany. And one of the things said, in all things, ask why. Like, why are people doing this? Why are your children mad? Why is your wife having conflict? Why? And if I was never asking why, I was just assuming I needed to crush whatever was in my path. And it changed everything, man. It changed my relationship with my kids. It changed it's just unbelievable, man. it's not enough to just read a personal development book. You've got to see it, hear it from somebody else. They've got to see in you what you don't want to see, and you got to believe it.
And you got to take action to fix.
Yeah, man. And that's what I hear from you coming back. You know,
you got to take action to fix. And that's why even to this day, you know, I'm in the personal development leadership space, and I have 2 coaches that I work with right now because the work never ends.
Coaches need coaches, baby.
Yeah. The marriage work never ends. The heart, you know, if I don't do the work, like reading the daily stoic or meditations, this train gets off the tracks real quick.
Yeah.
Real quickly, you know what makes Marcus a world-class badass? And we're talking about a man who's been dead for over 2,000 something years, I think.
And was literally the Emperor of Rome.
And he hated it. He hated it. So he was never actually in Rome. But all of those meditations in the daily stoic, the dude was writing to himself. That is world class,
man. I tell you, man. Listen, I whenever I read that book, we're gonna put a link in the show notes. Y'all need to get that book, man. Get the Gregory Hayes translation though, because it's like the NLT version of the Bible. It's the one that's written the way we talk. You know what I mean?
You can actually read.
It's the message. I always think like when he says something crazy, where he's looking in the mirror and he's like, "Oh, you piece of crap! You again? What? You did that? What do you?" Like, I'm always forgetting. Like he never expected anybody to read this, and like I think my favorite one in the whole book was the one where he's looking in the mirror, going, he's not even looking in the mirror. He's like, "Are you really going to lay in bed all day? You're going to lay under these warm, cozy covers, and you're not going to wake up? Are you serious? Are you serious, Marcus Aurelius? You're the Emperor of Rome. You got stuff to do. The ants are awake. You get up, right?" And it's like you think like this is a dude 2,000 years ago,
most powerful man in the world,
going through the same thing Shane Sams and Tommy Breedlove are going through every single morning. And I'm like, I just that book made me release all guilt of feeling bad about myself, because it was like, dude, this guy was dealing with it, and nothing's changed in 2,000 years, dude.
You know, it's interesting going back to you and your family, and regardless if you've experienced bad things or good things, you come from love or you don't come from love. You know, please, when I'm about to say, please don't send me hate mail. I'm just giving data. This is not an opinion. This is data. For the most part, that's my qualification. Do not send me hate mail. Men crave power, respect, and status, and we will do anything to get it. I mean, anything, because it's been wired into us for thousands and thousands and thousands of years to get to the head of the tribe and get the prettiest girl. I mean, those things got those things for us. Women, don't send me hate mail. For the most part,
you can send it to me. I'll take it. I'll be the heat shield, baby. Send me the hate mail. It's my podcast.
They crave love, and they'll do anything to get it and keep it. And when we know that our thousands and thousands of years from our tribal days to the Roman days to the wherever we came from days, when we know our standard operating procedure and our deep, deep DNA desires are those things, and all the great prophets that everyone's killed fought against those things, right? They fought toward love and away from power, status, because it destroys the world. Because we want it so bad, we destroy our families, our kids, whatever. I'm yours truly. When we can see that as our baseline and know that some of the best laid intentions are what's causing the horror in our lives, we just got to realize that. And that's just something I want people to hear. And the data says that. Not every human wants that. I get it. You're special. Okay. With that being said, the data says that.
Yeah. And I think that like looking naturally into ourselves, like when the word demons, man, whenever I talk to a guy like you, man, that's just like successful, awesome, like not got it figured out, but at least figured out which direction they want to point. You know what I mean? Like whenever I hear that word demons, man, it really resonates with me, because I'm like, man, if people, you know, I've got people in my life, you know, who are suffering from depression, and there are suffering from these things. And I'm like, God, man, it's but it's always, they want to tether it to something in the outside world, a circumstance, an event, money or whatever.
It's
man,
victimhood.
It's victimhood, man. Because it's an easier way to deal with it than turning around, whipping out your sword, and fighting the demon.
That's right.
And the second you do it,
in the mirror and looking in the mirror and knowing that's the problem, the solution. The mirror is the problem. And here's the thing: our news. I don't care if it's Fox News, CNN, or MSNBC. They promote victimhood.
Yes.
You are the victim of these people's decisions. You are the victim. And our social media does it. And if we put that pollution in our eyes and our ears, 24 hours a day. We're going to start believing we're a victim. You could be a billionaire and you're like, these people are trying to take my money. I'm a victim.
That's right. That's right. I don't watch
Nonsense.
it. I don't watch it at all.
Me neither. Me neither.
Someone was telling me something yesterday about something, and I'm like, y'all, I don't watch it. Like the stuff that's real important will make it through to you, right? Yeah. Like if something's scary or dangerous or whatever.
It's through my mother, by the way. That's where I get
exactly
my news.
Right. Yeah, I tell my mom, I go, every time my mom tells me something, I go, did you get that off theydem.com? Because she always says they say them over there. I'm like, is that theydem.com reporting the news again, Mom? But so she always does that. But I try to keep all that stuff out, man, because it's dangerous. Let me ask you this. Like, this is actually a good segue. I find my solace more and more in books, because I find that books are an imprinting of wisdom, you know, and like books are like TV's not solid ground. TV's flavor of the moment, right? Internet's flavor of the minute. It's even worse. But a good book that rises to the top and people tell you about, man, that's something that's stuck, right? And this is exactly how I even found out about you, is a friend of mine told me about your book. Now, you wrote this book, and there was a real intentional title called Legendary, right? So like, tell me about Legendary. Tell me how the concept of becoming legendary came out of your demons, your trauma, your past, and like, why specifically did you pick that title, and what does that mean, and what do you want people to get out of Legendary when they read it?
I'm going to start with the backstory, and then we'll finish with why it's called Legendary. And it came at the very, very end. So the book Legendary was a 3-year labor of a fist fight of Tommy versus Tommy, and the insecure, angry, bad demon side of Tommy was winning that fight big time. And the reason I originally wrote the book is because 10 people told me to write a book. I didn't know how to write a book. I'm from Southside Atlanta. I have terrible English. And I'm like, so the not good enoughs, and it had been rewritten 2 or 3 times. And it was what I call I'll just say for G-rated purposes, a really crappy book. I would use a different word otherwise. And I was at the very end of the deadline, and I'm not kidding. And the publisher, the editors, the consulting team, and we had a whole army helping me make this book special. And it was a terrible book, and it had nothing to do with them. It had to do with this guy right here. And I knew I was on the deadline, and I may or may not have had, here's a prop to Kentucky, may or may not have had a little too much Kentucky bourbon one night.
I hope it was Woodford Reserve, son.
I love Woodford Reserve, by the way. It's probably Angel's Envy, but I love me from Woodford.
There you go. That'll work too.
But
bourbon guy, man. I'm a bourbon guy.
I send a Jerry Maguire email to the publisher, to all the people involved. I mean, just the Jerry Maguire, the bad email, you know. But somewhere, and I called my wife, said, baby, this book, and I'm cussing and flocking and blah, 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 blah. The book's awful, blah, blah. And I sat down, and I'm telling you, it was a moment of epiphany. Stop making it about you. Don't do anything about you. Write the book that saved your life. Write the book that you teach. Write the book that you help others with now. It has nothing to do with you. And if you read this book, there's probably 7 or 8 pages of anything to do with me. And the rest of it's about tools, great stories, and very actionable steps to help build a legend. When I stopped doing that and made it about others and made it about impact and service, and the next day they all agreed, I thought they were going to fire me. They all agreed to meet the next day. And these are people in Boston. I mean, they're all over the country, man. And they agreed to meet with me. And I said, here's the chapters. And they're like, oh my God, where did this come from? I'm like, bourbon and God, but mostly bourbon. That's right. And they're like, where did this come from? And literally and how I wrote my book is I dictated it to someone, and then we edited. But that's where the book was born. And the whole point of the book, man, is to help people build and live a legendary life. And I'll explain that in a second. And what does that mean? We all struggle with time management. We all struggle with what's our purpose, building toward financial freedom, building a great network. That's all the stuff we want. So the book starts with what do we want and simple tools to go get it. Simple, like actionable, like it's not theory. These are the actions that people, me and all of my network have taken. And then it turns. And here's where I think it differentiates itself. Then it turns to what we actually need. Master our mindset. Develop unconditional courage, love, and respect for ourselves so that we can lead, love, and respect and have courage out in society. Get more intimate relationships with our friends, our family, our colleagues, our kids, real relationships. And intimacy is not just about physical. It's about emotional, mental, how we speak, the stuff that we really crave and live in the good life. And it's so simple and executable. I think that's why it's done so well. When I stopped writing it about me and made it about others and make it digestible, right? Like, hey, I need this in my life. Let's go do this one thing. And the reason we picked Legendary, and it's at the very end, and it just hit me one day. If I said Tommy Breedlove's Legendary, you would pretty much laugh me off of the mic here. Legendary is given to us. It's granted. It's something we aspire for. It's given by our colleagues, our peers, our friends, our family. No one's going to read our resume. No one's going to talk about our bank account. It's about impact, significant. Did we leave our families and friends, our communities, and this beautiful planet a little bit better than we found it? And did we build and live? It has nothing to do with money or fame. It has to do with impact, significance. And did you live the life of your dreams? Did you live your life on your terms? And did you live the life that society told you to live? And so that's where legend. And by the way, you can be a really crappy legend too. There's a whole bunch of them. Read your history books. But for me, this book is a tool book and playbook to really have it all in a simple way. And just by doing these micro steps in whatever area you're working on, whether it's relationships or money or success or network, whatever time, purpose, getting that demon out of your head that says you're not going to, whatever you're dealing with, pick one spot, go actionable. And I think that's why the book's done so good, dude.
Yeah, it's awesome, dude, man. I thoroughly enjoyed spending time with it on that flight back to Kentucky, coming back from Dan's house. And it really resonated with me because, I've got a lot of these philosophies and beliefs, man, the same thing. When I spent time with it, I was like, man, thank you, Dan Miller. I was like, Dan Miller. I said, I was going to say, Dan Miller gave me and you the gift to go in second because he met us first, and then he connected us together, man.
And Shane, none of it's mine
today, man.
When I remember where I received it from, or who gave it to me, or the wisdom that was shared with me, none of this. I mean, all this stuff is eons old, man.
But Marcus Aurelius' meditation starts with him just sitting and listing everyone that made an impact. I started writing down things in that section. He would talk about a guy and I'd put my dad, and he'd talk about another one. I put my mom, my grandfather, whatever it was, man. And you just realize we're just the cup that everybody else poured into.
That's right.
That's right. Man. And that's what we all got to be, dude. Well, listen, man, I could talk to you for 6 hours. We're going to have to find, I'm going to go grab some Woodford and drive down I-75 and find you at some point. And we're going to sit down and talk, man, but we'll wrap this up right now. Tell everybody real quick, Tommy, how can people find the book? How can people reach out and follow you online? And
totally. The book is everywhere. The book, I don't want to say one specific place because the other ones get mad.
Yeah.
If you don't mind my Southside Atlanta voice, I will read it to you on Audible or whatever format that you like to listen to books. But it's in electronic, it's in hardback, it's in softback, it's at all your favorite electronic or normal bookstores. Pick it up. Let me know what you think of it. I'd love that. If you want to follow me online, we don't put out any politics. We don't put out any negativity. It's about how do we live better lives? And we try to stay on the side of light, not darkness. So if you're looking for something reflection on your social feeds, check me out on Insta, LinkedIn, or Facebook, Tommy Breedlove. I'm there. If you're interested in maybe attending one of our Legendary Life retreats or conferences or coaching or masterminds, please let me know and just reach out to me at info@tommybreedlove.com. Tommybreedlove.com. It's a pretty memorable thing. I'm lucky we got that website. I'm not sure. I guess not many people have my last name, which, by the way, is real. It's real. It's not a fake name.
You just breathe love everywhere you go, baby. Love it, man.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. And so a lot of good stuff happening, a lot of good stuff coming up. But at a minimum, check out the book, and at a minimum, follow us because we work hard on our content. We work hard on putting light out into the world and hopefully getting on the right side of karma. For 36 years, I didn't live on the right side of karma, and we finally figured it out.
Awesome, man. Listen, man, everybody check that out, man. Tommy Breedlove, thanks for being on the show, dude.
Shane, thank you, brother.
All right, y'all. That wraps up my interview with Tommy Breedlove. Man, that was a fun conversation. Sometimes I wish this podcast was like 6 hours long so that I could just sit and talk to these amazing people and I could bring you more of them, man, because I know that Tommy's got a powerful message and I know that it blessed you and your life today. So make sure you check him out over at tommybreedlove.com. Follow him on social media. Give him a shout out that you heard him on the Shane Sams Show. And pick up a copy of Legendary for yourself. That's all the time I have for this week, guys. Thank you so much. Listen, if we can help you change your life, if I can help you in any way take your life and your family's future to the next level, you know I'm going to do that over at shanesams.com or flippedlifestyle.com. My wife, Jocelyn, and I help people start, build, and grow online businesses. We believe that money makes the mission possible. We believe if you take control of your income, you can take control of your time, and you can take control of your life, and you can take control of your family's future. You can build an amazing life with your own hands and leave an inheritance to your children's children. So if you need anything like that in your entrepreneurial journey, head over to shanesams.com or fliplifestyle.com to check all that out. Plus, if you love the Shane Sams Show, do me a favor. Make sure you head over to Apple Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. Tell us what you like about the show. The more reviews that we get, the more people hear about the show. And the more the show grows, the more amazing guests that I can get on here to bring to you in your personal, professional, and life journey. So head over there and leave a review. If you're listening on Spotify or somewhere else, make sure you hit that follow button, download a few episodes to your phone. Give this a share on social media, or heck, let's go old-fashioned, y'all. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend, hey, I'm listening to this Shane Sams Show. It's bringing me a lot of value. I want to make sure it grows so that it keeps bringing me value, and I want you to listen to it too. That's all the time I got for this week, guys. I can't wait to be back with you again next week. Until then, whatever you are doing in your life, be consistent, be prolific, be relentless. Cast your stone out upon the waters and cause many ripples. We'll see you next.